Hello and welcome to Living in Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Evan Deal with Elite Icon Team, and on today's episode, we're not going to tell you why you should move to Indiana. You already know why you should move. If you watch this channel, you know why you should move here. Today, we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't move to Indiana. More on that in a second, but before we get started, be sure to leave a like on this video, hit the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so that you stay in the loop on everything happening in and around the Circle City, the 317, this place we love to call home, and hopefully you will too. Well, let's dive into why you shouldn't move here. Many reasons to live in Indiana. It's a great place to live, very affordable, nice weather for the most part. We'll get into that in a little bit. Tons of fun sports, really just great, well-developed communities around Indianapolis and central Indiana. But are there reasons why you shouldn't move here? So let's look at this first. Where are people coming to Indianapolis from? Because Indianapolis is booming. The economy is really strong here. Job growth is fantastic. Communities are developed. There's new construction all over the place. So where are people coming from? Funny enough, they're coming around from surrounding areas. So you're looking at Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio. So places like Cincinnati, Chicago, Louisville, Columbus, Ohio. That's who's mostly coming to Indianapolis. We don't see as many people from the coasts come. Those people are more going towards the south part of the United States. People who are moving out of New York or California or Washington. A lot of them are going to states out west or states in the south. What we see in Indianapolis is Indianapolis has become a real regional power within the area. So you see people moving from these different cities in the nearby states. In fact, there's even whole parts of Illinois that are looking at, do they want to become part of Indiana? That's a whole nother thing. But why shouldn't you move here? What are some of the reasons why you wouldn't want to come to this amazing city? This amazing city that I call home and millions of Hoosiers call home, Indianapolis and the surrounding suburbs. And let's take it right off the top. You've heard me talk about this in some of our local area videos, but it's, in my opinion, the absolute worst part of living here, and that is the winter. Winter is terrible in Indianapolis. Now, if you're living in Chicago, you're like, okay, you don't even know winter. They're like Jon Snow up there on the wall, defending against frost giants compared to our winter. But if you're from down south, you're going to get pretty cold here. So we have sort of a real rough time in the winter because it's very cold and it can get down. The wind chill can dip down below zero, especially in January. We usually get a few big snowfalls. I mean, we're not talking Michigan or Minnesota or, rural New York snows, but we get some big snows here. And the problem is that it thaws just enough to turn into water to refreeze into ice. And that's what we deal with in the winter. So we live in that weird middle ground here in Indianapolis where it's just cold enough to turn into bad road conditions. And not only that, the winter likes to linger. So it starts getting cold in November, but it's fine in November. You're getting out, you're having Thanksgiving, fall festivals, it's a good time. December, it really starts to dip down, but you're fine. You're full of holiday spirit. Celebrating Christmas, New Year's, whatever. It's a great time, right? Lots of fun cultural things to do around here. You got the Christmas market up in Carmel. You got the trees downtown all lit up on the circle. But in January and February, oh boy, it's gray here. We don't have sunshine. I don't even know what sunshine is during the winter. Travel other places. In February, maybe you're going for work, maybe you're going for just a vacation, you want to get a cruise, get out of the state. You're like, whoa, I forgot what sunshine was like. Oh, so pack your vitamin D supplements. You're going to need them during the winter. There is very gray skies here in Indianapolis, and it is very cold. That's the number one reason. But if you're moving from one of the surrounding areas, you're probably already familiar with it, and that's who's mostly moving in to Indianapolis. So you're good. You've got your shovel, you've got your jacket. You're not too worried about it. But here's one of the things that comes from winter, specifically in Indianapolis, and that is the freezing and unfreezing on the asphalt. So our roads take a major hit because of this weird middle ground we're in the winter. And what's that mean? It means potholes. You got potholes on side streets. You got potholes on the interstate. And with an increasing population, we have tons of construction. So between the weather and the population changes and just normal infrastructure wear and tear, we have tons of construction in Indianapolis. These are the two things I always talk about as being the worst parts of living here: the winters and the construction. And the construction has a lot to do with the winters. You know this if you're in the Midwest. You're dealing with it too, the freeze and unfreeze. But people on the coast, depending on your climate, you may be dealing with something else. If you're coming from the South, you're definitely dealing with different conditions. But these potholes could get pretty big. And local government's pretty good about getting them filled. But depending on your area that you live in around the city, they've got different patterns they work in. You may be waiting a little while for some of those. And the problem is on the interstate, with an increased population, increased tax on the asphalt that's already there, you get some major backups sometimes on the major interstates, especially on 465. It happens on 72. I feel on 70, TOO2, not 72. The number. I feel like there's always orange cones there. You're going east to west, between Illinois and central Indiana, even on the eastern side of the state. There's always orange cones on I-70 and on 465. You cannot drive in a full circle around Indianapolis without bumping into construction at least once or twice, either through expansion or repair. So those are the major two reasons. They are not insurmountable. Compared to traffic in other major cities, traffic in Indianapolis is not that bad. I lived in Chicago briefly. That's real traffic, right? Los Angeles, that's real traffic. Boston, real traffic. Indianapolis, it's annoying sometimes with the construction, but it is a problem you can get past. So we talked about the cold, right? We talked about winter. Winter's coming, right? Well, not now, but in a few months. However, let's flip around to the summer. Summers are very nice in Indiana for the most part. I'd say like a Michigan summer is probably a nicer summer. You're getting out on the lakes, but it's nice in Indiana too. It's not as hot as places down south. It's generally very bearable, but we do have something that not everywhere in the United States has, and that is a high degree of humidity. It is a hot, wet, thick summer in the dead of summer here, and you really feel it. So it's not like Texas where you step out of your car and you just get hit in the face with dry heat, and you just taste the heat in the air, or like Arizona where you could fry an egg on a sidewalk. It's more of like this hot, sweaty heat, and you just really feel it, and it just saps the life out of you a little bit. And it really doesn't stretch the whole summer in Indiana. It's more like the dead of July and part of August, but you really get to that point where that humidity is, you look at the temperature, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. And then you see what the humidity is doing to you, and you say, oh, I get it now. So you get that in Indianapolis. You get that throughout central and southern Indiana as well. And people who live in states south of Indiana, you're like, nah, it's way hotter down here. It'll be fine. People in the northern, it's going to be a little bit hotter for you if you're coming down from Chicago, living in Indiana. That's a good thing in the winter. It'll be a little bit warmer in the summer. All right, so that's the main weather things. But a couple things come with this summer activity in Indiana. So every area in the world, in the United States, has its own unique natural disasters, right? If you live in Florida, you're going to be dealing with hurricanes. If you live in California, you're going to deal with mudslides, earthquakes, wildfires, right? If you live in Chicago, you're going to be dealing with blizzards, and you're going to be buried under a foot of snow, and you're going to wish you had a snowblower instead of a shovel. In Indiana, we are in Tornado Alley. So we get tornadoes here, and that is true in central Indiana. We get them south of the city. We get them north of the city. There was a tornado not that long ago that actually touched down in downtown Carmel, north of the city. We've had tornadoes rip through Franklin, Indiana. We get them throughout central Indiana. It is a real thing that happens in the spring and summer, especially in Indiana every year. And it's something that you kind of get used to. That you need to take shelter, get in your basement, stay safe. There's a really great tornado siren system here in Indianapolis and all the surrounding areas that help keep people safe during big time storms. And the weather, local news and internet coverage is very good here. So you can stay safe during these times, but know that these do come through. I don't think it's quite as bad as other places. It's not like Oklahoma or Arkansas. We're not getting quite that many, but we do get tornadoes on a regular basis in Indiana. You're going to be dealing with something no matter where you live. In Indiana, that's the local flavor. But like I said, people get used to it. I mean, there is a video of the tornado in Carmel, and there is a dude outside shooting hoops during it. And if that's not the most Indiana thing I've ever heard of, I don't know what is. The only thing that could make it more Indiana if we had a race car ear of corn and a pork tenderloin somehow. But we're crazy about basketball even during horrific storms. What can you say? That's a Hoosier thing. So the other thing in summer, in addition to the tornadoes that we get occasionally, are bugs. And every part of the country has different bugs you're dealing with, right? In Indiana, it's mosquitoes. And because of that thick humidity, a lot of the wooded areas, Indiana really used to be like entirely wooded before a lot of the woods was cleared out for farmland. Little fun history fact for you. We get mosquitoes. We get mosquitoes around ponds. We get mosquitoes around woods. People got mosquitoes in their yards, and they're a little annoying in the summer. A lot of people work with local lawn care companies, especially in the Indianapolis area, to get their yard treated for mosquitoes, which certainly helps. But just know, especially if you're going to be in the rural areas around Indianapolis, you will be dealing with mosquitoes during the summer. So, make sure you get some spray, or you can take care of your yard. There's different products, for it to take care of the mosquitoes, or get some good spiders, get some spiders to, get some of those, or a good bug zapper. But during the summer, you've got humidity, tornadoes, mosquitoes. But all that being said, it's pretty nice during the summer most of the time, especially in June. It's really pretty in June throughout Indiana. We've touched on the weather. We've touched on construction. Let's talk about some of the non-naturally occurring things that happen around Indianapolis that make it not the most desirable place to live. One of those is sales tax. So sales tax is 7% currently in Indiana, and it's one of the higher sales taxes in the U.S., which is wild because we actually do have income tax here. Now, our income tax is actually one of the lowest in the United States. It's not like, Tennessee or Florida where they don't have it, or Texas. We still have income tax currently. Maybe that can change in the future. Fingers crossed. But we do have a higher sales tax, and there's no real local relief for that around Indianapolis. It doesn't offset. So your day-to-day goods are going to have a little bit higher sales tax than some other areas of the country. It's not the highest in the country, but it is higher than the average. So it's something to think about, but it's not going to be too much of a bother on you, because if you've seen our cost of living videos on this channel, you know that Indianapolis is one of the best bang for your buck places in the entire country, especially for major cities in the US. However, that doesn't necessarily apply to local sales tax. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Another thing is that we have a great economy here in Indianapolis. That's not the bad part. However, our economy is centered on, certain industries. Like every area of the country has specific industries that they perform best in, right? Some areas have a high degree of military or public service. Some places have really strong tech. Some places have, great tourism industries or manufacturing. Indianapolis has a mix of different industries, and it really is a strong economy across different places. However, we over-index in some versus others. So if you're looking for the next Silicon Valley, that's likely not Indianapolis. We do have some tech industry here, but it's not the major focus here. We have a ton of biotech, though. So we have pharma companies, healthcare companies, biotechnology, very, very strong presence in Indianapolis. But if you're looking for, app development and AI, the next wave of it, that's not really Indianapolis' strong suit, at least not yet. We do have some great university systems that feed into Indianapolis. We have a ton of Purdue and IU grads. We have Ball State. We even have Rose Holman in Terre Haute, ISU. A number, even Notre Dame. Though a lot of Notre Dame grads, go up to Michigan or over to Chicago. But we do get fed from a lot of different areas, especially the strong local universities here in Indianapolis. So that's going to influence what the industries are here. We also have a very strong agricultural presence, even here in Indianapolis, that you'll see. So, a lot of Purdue grads, obviously, connected with the agriculture side of things, but not all industries are here, right? We don't have the most booming tourism industry here. We're not like Orlando where you're going to come and have a family vacation. You might come visit Indianapolis. It's a great place to come visit for a few days. It's an even better place to live. I've talked about this in other videos where there's like almost no better place, if any better place, to actually live and then go forth from than Indianapolis. But you'll have to check out the other videos on our channel for that one. But just think about it. Depending on what industry you want to work in, there may already be opportunities for that in Indianapolis, but there may not be. However, I will caveat it with this. Indianapolis is consistently ranked as one of the best places to do business in the entire country. And Indiana as a whole is consistently ranked as one of the top states to do business in. And our local governance, both in Indianapolis and in the larger state of Indiana, really put a lot of incentives in place to make that happen. So if you're looking to start up something, maybe you see there's an opportunity in Indianapolis that doesn't currently exist there, that you're already seeing thriving in Chicago, in Cincinnati, in New York, in San Francisco, wherever you're moving from, there probably is going to be an opportunity for you to build that here, which is really exciting because not everywhere has that. Not everywhere has that innovator environment where you are going to be incentivized to follow your dreams and build something special. And that's definitely encouraged here. And we continue to see it happen more and more as the economic strength of the city and the local area continues to thrive. There's a lot of reasons to move here. There's a few reasons not to move here. It's not for everyone. You may not want to deal with winter. If you don't want to deal with winter, you're probably looking at Florida, right? Or maybe, South Carolina or something. But if you're looking for a really strong, growing Midwest place, Indianapolis is hard to beat. So a couple more things before we go. I talked about the industries. That applies to the arts as well. So we over-index in some forms of entertainment and under-index in others. So you look at some of the great music cities in the United States, right? You have Detroit, you have Memphis, New Orleans, New York, Los Angeles, Nashville, Tennessee, just to name a few. There's tons more. Indianapolis has arts like that, but we don't have a crazy strong stage presence or music presence. There's not as much of a unique indie sound, coming out in really any form of music. But we've got, really nice arts facilities here. They're downtown Indy. Plainfield has one. Carmel's got the Arts and Design District. So we do have a love for the arts here in Indiana, but it's not as prevalent as you see everywhere across the country. We don't have that distinct sound here. It's the same on the culinary scene. There's some good food here, and there's a lot of really great farm-to-table options emerging throughout Indianapolis and the surrounding areas, like in Zionsville and Carmel, really all across the city. But you don't have as much of a unique local flavor. We don't have our own Chicago deep dish or New York style pizza. We don't even have skyline chili like Cincinnati. We've got pork tenderloins. We've got delicious corn. I would say the best corn in the country. Sorry, Nebraska, Iowa people. We've got some great corn here. That's definitely a competition there. But our culinary scene is developing over time. A lot of steakhouses, a lot of really good steakhouses. The people come here for the NFL Combine every year. They go to St. Elmo's. They go to other steakhouses. But we don't have the most options, especially different worldwide cuisines. We do have that in Bloomington on 4th Street. Very amazing restaurants from around the world. Not as much throughout all of Indianapolis, especially the suburbs. So we're a little lacking in the arts department and the culinary scene. I'm not saying they're totally lacking. I'm just saying there are other areas of the country that are stronger in those things. However, we over-index in sports. And we've got videos all about sports here. Racing capital of the world here with the Brickyard 400, Indy 500 at the IMS in Speedway. Technically not in Indianapolis. Check out our Speedway videos for more on that. But we also have the Colts. This is definitely a Colts city. We love football here. We want good football. We love Tyler Warren draft pick. Excited to have a new tight end, and we're rolling there. Pacers are rolling. Haven't won an NBA chip yet, but we're on our way. Pick up the pace. We love it. Run and gun. We've got college basketball. They've got the Boilermakers. I'm an IU guy, so I'm a Hoosier guy. We've got Butler Bulldogs. Even ISU made the NIT run not that long ago. So it goes down to high school like basketball too. High school basketball here is kind of like high school football is in Texas. Like if you look at a map of all the biggest gyms in the country, they're here because we love basketball. The Pacers had a slogan that was like, "We grow basketball here," and it was like corn with basketball, and it was the most Indiana thing ever. It was awesome, but it's true. It's true. So we over-index in sports. We've got one of the biggest youth sports facilities in the country up in Westfield in Grand Park, and we've just got all sorts of great things. Got the best player in the WNBA here, Caitlin Clark. We love her here. She was definitely our arch enemy in college when she was at Iowa for IU, but she's an absolute baller, and we are so happy to have her here in Indianapolis. Got a great AAA team in the Indianapolis Indians. I could go on forever. And I will go on forever in a sports video. But yeah, so you can see we're a little unbalanced. There's probably more we could do in the arts department. We have some local arts. We need more. We've got lots of sports, and hopefully we'll keep getting more of that because we love it. We love sports here. I know there's some work being done to get an MLS team here. We already have the Indy 11 for minor league, but that's an ongoing project for the city. But it's a little unbalanced. So if you're more on the art side, there is stuff to do here, but not as much as the sports side. And I just wanted to leave off with one more small note. If you're moving to Indianapolis, let's say you're moving from somewhere like New York that's got really lots of options for public transit. There aren't a ton of cities like that in the U.S., but there are a few. Certainly, if you're moving from another country, you're going to have great public transit. That's not the case in Indianapolis. We have very limited public transit. Here, we've got a bus system. We got scooters you can rent downtown. People fly around all over the place in summer on those. But for the most part, you're going to need a car to live here. It's a very drivable city. Different communities are walkable. Carmel's very walkable. Downtown Indy is extremely walkable. I would say one of the most walkable downtowns in the country, certainly that I've been to. And I've been to every state, so that's most of them. But you're going to need a car really to get around. The good news is it's easy to get around a car unless you're dealing with the construction I talked about earlier, but you will need a car here. So if you're looking for like the most walkable place, tons of squares everywhere where you can hang out and sip a coffee, Indianapolis isn't the best fit for that. So that's everything I have today on why you should not move to Indianapolis. But if it hasn't been clear by the way I'm talking throughout, you really should move to Indianapolis. It's an awesome place to live. We cover it in every video on this channel. We cover Indianapolis, the city proper, as well as all of the surrounding areas, north, south, east, and west, and even expanding across the rest of Indiana. It's an amazing place to live. There's so much going for it. One of the most affordable places to live in the country relative to all the wonderful benefits you're getting. So if you want to know more, you got to stay tuned on this channel. And how are you going to do that? First thing you're going to do is leave a like on this video because we're polite here in the Midwest. And like one of our local sports guys, Kent Sterling, says, it's the polite thing to do. Leave a like button, show your Midwest hospitality on this video, hit the subscribe button while you're there, and ring the notification bell so that you are kept in the loop on everything happening in and around Indianapolis. Because now that you know all the bad things, you're going to want to know even more about the good things because the good way outweighs the bad here. So we can't wait to see you in the next one. I'm Evan Deal. This is Living in Indianapolis, Indiana. Have a good one, and we'll see you later.